Exhausted migrants trudge up the final stretch of the Rio Grande River on the Mexico-US border before turning themselves in to the American authorities in El Paso in Texas. There's a months-long treacherous journey from Nicaragua, Venezuela and Mexico, many fleeing gang violence and poverty in the hope of finding freedom and a new life in the United States. It's a well-trodden path, but in recent weeks the numbers attempting to cross have soared to unprecedented levels. More than 230,000 in the month of October alone, and over 2 million in the previous 12 months, the highest annual figure ever recorded.
We want them to help us. We're asking President Biden because he's the only president who will help us. We know he will open the door for us.
When Joe Biden took office, he did away with a number of Donald Trump's more egregious immigration policies, which did open the door to huge migration surges. But he kept one in place in particular, so-called Title 42, which gave US officials the ability to turn people away at the border for fear that increased migration could lead to a surge in COVID-19. Now that restriction is due to expire next week, leaving many here, particularly Republicans, to fear that this latest wave is merely a foreshadowing of what's to come.
We know what works because we saw Donald Trump do many things that worked, and now they've discarded every single one of those laws and policies and said, we're going to do it our way. And our way is to invite everybody here as fast as possible.
The Biden administration is privately bracing for as many as 14,000 migrants a day once the COVID restrictions have lifted. They're surging more troops to the border and planning to announce tighter asylum rules.
Individuals who attempt to cross the border unlawfully and don't have a legal basis to remain will be subject to removal, and we'll certainly have more in the coming days.
The problem is there's no bipartisan will to address the crisis in Congress. If anything, the Republicans are using the latest surge as a political stick to beat Biden.
Republican governors send asylum seekers to Democratic-led cities.
Witness the recent stunt by Republican Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, who actively rounded up migrants and sent them to the Democratic stronghold of Martha's Vineyard. And his counterpart, Doug Ducey in Arizona, who spent millions of taxpayers' dollars building a wall on the border with Mexico using shipping containers. None of which will deter desperate migrants from making the dangerous journey across Central America to the United States.
Thank God we made it. I'm in a country that recognizes our rights and will be able to help us.
That's the belief, the promise of America. And that's why, whatever Joe Biden does, they'll just keep coming.